guys cold out there? You want us to turn the,
They're not. It's blowing right
I
on.
know this one's blowing on us, but,
Yeah, it's nice.
okay.
Oh, hush,
I love
I'm
it in
cold.
here. Oh, are you
Oh,
cold?
it's freezing.
I think this is such a cool space. I love it.
Okay, you're good to go.
Okay, we're gonna call to order the work session for the Tenino City Council, Tuesday, August 13th. It's 6:32. First on our agenda is a review of the council agenda. If people want to take a look at their, did you hand out agendas or does everybody have an agenda?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take a look at the agenda and see if there's anything that you want added when we come to that point. You got anything? Nothing?
I better boot up.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Moving on, council priorities. I think our biggest priority right now is still working on the budget. I did go to the budget conference in Wenatchee not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before that. Spent a couple days over there. It was good. I had the opportunity to sit down with MRSC and just talk about our budget a little bit and kind of get some ideas from them on how best to move forward with the kind of where we're at with the budget. I would say their suggestion was first look at our revenues first and try to make sure we're squared away with revenues. We do have a couple areas in there where we budgeted to get some money for like septic receiving that we're not going to get. So his suggestion was kind of get our revenue squared away first so we know where we're at and then compare that to what we're expected spending and see where we're going to need to make cuts if we need to make cuts. So that was kind of their, just overall, just a broad, we talked a lot more than that about specific things, but that was kind of his broad suggestion was to work on that revenue. So Jen's already started. When I got back, she had already changed the starting balances because we had a disparity with what the budget said and what we really had. So I think that's been changed already. So that's a big step right there, just getting our starting balances correct. And so we'll move forward from there and make those other few corrections. And I'm hoping next meeting we can come back with some recommendations because we're getting close to starting the budget for next year. And it's going to be hard to start a new budget if we don't know where we're kind of have a pretty good idea where we're at this year. So we need to kind of get on that and kind of get that squared away as best we can and so we can move on for next year. So that's kind of where we're at with the budget. Any questions or anything specifics about that? Just overall, I think we have not gone any further in debt. We do have a bunch of outstanding reimbursements we're waiting on right now for the Ag Park project, but we should be getting those soon. But otherwise, we're kind of maintaining an even keel at this point as far as where we're at. Second August meeting cancellation, there was some talk that I think John had mentioned that we sometimes cancel a meeting in August.
I've
never heard of it either.
Yeah. I would prefer to have our second meeting. We got enough stuff going on. We need, like I said, with this budget stuff, I believe we need to.
The only time I remember having one is in December.
December,
Yeah.
in December. We don't have that second one close to Christmas, but we've always had them all year long.
So anyway, unless there's some reason people want to cancel, I would propose that we just, I'm going to just continue as normal.
Okay.
Commission appointments, Jen, I know this was on here. Was this?
Yeah.
Here.
That's something I wanted to cover. Do you mind if I chat about it for a second?
Yep.
Okay, so as everyone remembers, at the beginning of everyone's calendar election situation, everybody kind of volunteered for who they wanted to be the liaison for. There's some confusion, I guess, as far as what meetings are paid for or not. If you attend a meeting that you are the liaison for, you get $50 with a maximum of 3 of those meetings. But in order to get paid for those meetings, you got to let City Hall know. We can't just assume that you attended them all. So I'm asking that you email myself or Rana or call City Hall and just let Courtney know. We'll leave a note for payroll to make sure that you guys are counted for the meetings that you attend. So yeah, if there's any questions, I did bring the printout. I remember Linda mentioned she wanted off facade improvement, and then I didn't remember if you were out for Fire District 12. So I know
Also,
we have John as the secondary,
So John's the first.
He's there.
but isn't he a commissioner?
Yes.
I know.
He can still report. I
Okay, he can
guess.
still be the main report.
I
Okay,
would- I
so
would
you
think
want to
he
be
could-
your number one?
For fire commission?
Yeah. No, for the reporting of it,
Sure.
because you attend them all.
Sure.
Okay. So I will just make sure that that gets changed, and then let me know about facade improvement if anybody wants to take that on. There's a vacancy there, but I'm assuming nothing's really happening with it. There's not a lot of improvements happening in the facade world. Are you with me?
I'm here.
Okay.
I
Okay.
am still gonna be on the committee. I just
Right,
don't
right.
wanna
You
be
just don't want to
chair.
chair it for now. Yes.
Yeah, and Sherry, I already talked to Sherry Bachman, and
Oh.
she would be willing to do that. So
Okay.
She's been on the committee, and Aslan, so, and then I've asked, Keith Phillips and Gil Linker to
Okay.
also join the committee, because we've lost Ken and, Donna. Those were the other two commissioners.
Okay.
So I think I'd like to add another one if I can find somebody that I think has a vision for
Okay,
what the
that's
city should
great
look
for
like.
that, but I just need to know who the representative will be. So as soon as we
She can
figure.
report on it.
Well,
You're still
I'll
gonna-
report.
Oh,
Still
okay.
report.
She just
Okay.
doesn't want to be the chair.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to have to put the meetings together.
Okay. Great. Well, thanks for clearing that up.
Well, you
That
know,
answers-
Linda, you put 2 stone carvers on that meeting. We're gonna have gargoyles all up and down the street
No, we're
here.
not. It all
Gargoyles
has
are
to go
cool.
through the committee, Jeff. No,
But they're on the
not.
committee. They're on the committee, is what I'm
No,
saying.
no.
Okay.
City property appraisals, we got the appraisals back for the city properties, Washington Street, the cold storage warehouse, the old city shop, and the 3 lots on, I can never remember the name of that street. Green Street, 3 lots on Green Street. Basically, all the vacant lots were right in the 40,000 range. I think Washington was just a little bit higher at 43,000. And the 2 buildings, the cold storage and the old shop, were appraised at like 100, one was 140 and one was
150,
one was 150, I think. So both the buildings down here were about 150,000, and the lots were all around 40,000, just so you know that. So we can, as we move forward, especially with this budget stuff, we can determine if we want to surplus those lots or, how we want to proceed with those. So that came back, and that's kind of where we're sitting with those. So we're looking at 402 buildings. If they're 100, that's 300, and another 120, so about $420,000, I think, is what they're appraised at. So just so you know that.
For property that we're not doing anything with. We're not doing
Yeah.
anything with it. I'd love to see a motel somewhere, but I don't know that it's my understanding that, I thought about Green Street for it, but
Okay.
it's my understanding that, that wouldn't be a good spot for it, so.
Yeah, it's right up against those railroad tracks, and there's a kind of a lot in between them. They're kind of not just a big square piece of property, 4
No, I went
lots.
by
are
there
together,
today,
but-
and it's quite a big size.
Yeah,
The
but
lots look like.
we'll see
they're
what
good
happens.
size.
If somebody wants to buy them and do something with them, that's, but if we decide to surplus them. City attorney,
You wanna buy it?
what, you want to buy it? City attorney, we have reached out. We reached out to like 4 people, Jen, that we reached out to for city attorney. We got responses from 2, a gentleman in Seattle and a person named Brent Dilly, who is here in Olympia. We talked to both of them on Zoom calls. The guy in Seattle was great. He works at a pretty large firm up there. He also worked for MRSC, which was kind of nice because he got to see a lot of small cities, what's happening in small cities. I guess for us, there's a couple issues with him. It's just the distance away. If we needed to meet or he needed to come down here, you got a 2-hour drive each way in addition to whatever time he spends here.
He charges about $100.
And it's
more.
about almost $100 more than we're paying right now, an hour for him. Great guy, nothing personal, but it's significantly more expensive, and the distance away is was kind of a long ways. Brent Dilly, his local, he has worked for, I'll get my list here. He's worked for Ocean Shores, Sequim, Rainier, Buckley, Yelm, Puyallup, Ording, Eatonville, a couple of port districts, school districts, PUDs, and conservation districts. Their firm has 3 people. His dad, Brent Dilly's dad, and then another Garrett Ratfield, so they have 3 people. They all practice municipal law, along with some other things. We talked to him today. He seems very knowledgeable in the work that we do. He's local. His price is about $20 more an hour than what we're paying our current attorney. So I think it's going to be our recommendation. We don't need to act on this tonight, but we're going to get a proposal, a contract from him, and bring it to our next meeting to hopefully bring him on as our new attorney.
And for those who don't know, our attorney is
Retiring.
Did
Yeah.
Rick give any recommendations?
Yeah, he's the one that gave the Seattle.
Oh.
He worked with him at MRSC, knew him. That's who Rick suggested. We did talk a little bit about the transition, because one of my fears is that during this transition, we want to make sure we're all on the same page, you know. So his suggestion was that he meet with us, and then we meet also with Rick during this, if we select him, that we meet with him and Rick and make sure we kind of get that transition and know where we're at with a lot of the things going on, especially with the ag park and some of the more complex contracts we have. If we select him, we'll sit down and make sure we're kind of all on the same page for that transition. Any questions on that one? Real quick, Wolf Haven International Capital Campaign. This was sent to Linda, I think, and then she forwarded it to me.
Yeah, I did.
Sent to all of us.
Did you all get one? I think they all did. They
Oh,
just-
did everybody
yeah,
get
they
this?
just- they
Okay.
just,
Copied everybody?
They just emailed
Okay.
everybody.
I don't need to tell you about that
Being the
one.
best, you know.
Yeah.
I'm sending this to you because I know you can get it done. Let's see.
Well, I'd like to talk on that a little bit. I actually had a little correspondence with them on the subject. And they have a project coming down the road. They want to build a tree house on their property, and a ADA with a 200.
So people can get up in there and observe? Is that the idea?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But more than that, I understand that Wolf Haven just wants to get more engaged with the community of Tenino. I mean, we're next door neighbors, only 5 miles down the road. I've never been there.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
I'm sad to
You
say.
gotta be kidding me. God, you guys, shame on you.
I know.
I'm from
I'm going to go tomorrow, Linda. I'm going tomorrow.
So as part of that,
30 years you've lived here?
part of engaging with the community and letting us know more about who they are and what they do.
Yeah.
And I guess they're unique in the world for
Yeah, they
the work
are.
they do with the wolves.
It's really
He
interesting.
may approach you, Mayor, to see if they can do a presentation here in the council.
That's what I was just going to say. We should invite him to come and do a presentation maybe at the next meeting if we don't have a big agenda.
That was one of their asks.
Yeah.
That's what they said. They would like to come in.
And they're willing to do a tour for the council. If anyone wants to get together, we could schedule
It's
that.
really very interesting. It really is. I've been there several times. It's really interesting.
So I was encouraged. I'm
Yeah.
very interested in learning more about
Right.
what's going on there.
Okay, anything else on that one? I just wanted to let people know, even though this is not in the city, Miles Sand and Gravel is having a hearing before the Thurston County Hearing Examiner for a special use permit renew. I think it's a renewal, 5-year renewal review. If anybody's interested in that, it is on October 8th at 11 a.m. at their facility, it looks like. Oh, no. Must be at the Thurston County at their new building.
What is this for?
Miles Sand and Gravel conditional use permit for them
For
to
them
continue
to continue
operations.
on.
Like I said, it's not in the city, but if anybody has any interest on what they're proposing to do out there, this would be the thing to attend to find out more about what they're thinking.
And what
for the
county
next 5
department
years.
is having the hearing for them?
What's that?
What county department is holding the hearing?
Thurston County Hearing Examiner,
It must be at the commissioner's office.
yeah. the name, if you want a name, it's Sonia, SONJA .Katie at county, Thurston at county.thurston.wa.us. I'm trying to see what specific department. I don't see it on here. Community Planning and Economic Development Department. Let's see, next up, Amy Aslin. I want to introduce, I think she introduced herself to everybody, but we were kind of advised or thought about the Ag Park, looking at that and how we attract businesses out there. I know Aslin's done a lot of work to reach out to companies to try to get additional tenants out there. But we thought it was time to get a professional that knows what they're actually doing to attract the businesses, and so we've asked Amy Evans Harding to represent us as a commercial. You're gonna do commercial? Yeah. So she came to talk a little bit about. We did have a meeting out there, so she's seen the site. So I just asked her to come today to talk a little bit about what she does and maybe ideas that she has as far as the Ag Park out there. So Amy, yeah, if you can come up to the mic, we'd appreciate it. If the little light isn't on bright green, you need to push the button down there.
Hello. Hello. Oh, hi. Hi, guys. Yeah, so I am a commercial real estate broker with Kidder Matthews. I specialize in mainly industrial and office in Thurston and Lewis County. We do a little bit of multifamily and retail to service our existing clients. But yeah, I had the opportunity to tour the Ag Park. I've worked with the EDC quite a bit, and it's an awesome project. Aslan's done a great job of working within the ag community. I'm here to answer questions. I don't know if you want to talk about our conversation about use and get some council feedback on that. Okay, I think that would be one of my biggest questions for you all is regarding the restrictions on use. I just want to go into that crystal clear with what the intent of the council is so that I'm not picking and choosing as far as uses. So obviously the intent being that this is an ag and innovation park. I heard some conversation about a hotel. Would that fall in line with servicing the agricultural community in the nearby areas? I just would love some feedback from all of you as to how you see those constraints working and setting expectations.
Yeah, another conversation I had about was covenants, right?
Yep.
One of the things that's kind of people, I guess, like to know before they commit to things like this is how the whole covenants with that facility is going to work. So one of the things we talked about is getting some covenants in place so to help when she's talking to clients, and maybe you can explain that a little bit more too, but we can go,
Yeah, in either order, the covenants, it's like the CC&Rs in your homeowners association. It's the same sort of idea, but for commercial properties. And it just, especially in a situation like that where you have shared maintenance obligations, it identifies who's going to do the work, who's going to pay for it. It would identify restrictions on use and things like that. And I do believe that needs to get done as soon as possible so that we can give clarity and certainty for prospective tenants. So, and I made some recommendations as far as attorneys. You can use your city attorney. It's also customary to use a specialized real estate attorney as well. So that would be up to you and what you thought was most effective and cost effective. But so the covenants being a first step, and there'd be some dialogue with you as to what you wanted that to say, and then the attorney advising you on how to protect yourself. And then the use being something that would roll up into those covenants, and that's just a conversation for you all as to what you envision. Obviously, there's some restrictions on the grant dollars and things like that, but I wanted to hear from all of you as to what you thought.
So, and I can add, we talked about the meat processing facility out there also a little bit. It's something that's already ongoing, and I think if I understood you right, you can correct me if you would help us with that, even though it's in process. You would help us kind of get that, if that piece comes to fruition. Since we've already kind of started, she would help us with that to get that going also. Can I say? Go ahead, yeah, Aslan, if you want to. Tag team.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having us here. I'm really happy to have Amy here. Just to set the stage, you know, the two buildings that are currently under construction are fully full of tenants, and so we're in this unique situation now where we have 2 additional lots that are going to be pad ready to actually build. But it's not like what I've been doing is just recruiting tenants for buildings we already have planned. And so having an expert, an actual commercial broker at this time to actually represent us, to actually market, because it's really marketing kind of, we're kind of looking for this unique kind of, you know, developer business, and Amy can talk more about that kind of piece, but we have these 2 lots that are going to be ready, you know, to build upon, and then we have the whole back lot that, you know, we're definitely looking to move forward with this meat processing facility, but that lot's also going to have to be further subdivided. We're going to have to start playing with, you know, size of lots and what we want that to look like, and going through that process. But Amy can also start with just, there's this other land that's available. And so anyway, it's just having an expert at this point. You know, as I've been part of this process, there's just points where it goes, you know, I shouldn't be trying to do things that are out of my skill set, right? We need to bring in a professional to do this. So anyways, that's the piece I want to say.
And just touching on what the mayor said, this is what I do for a living. I'm a commercial real estate broker. We're paid a fee when we perform. We don't bill for anything in the interim unless we're doing a special project where that's negotiated ahead of time. So you would only pay me if I delivered you a tenant. But as far as I also wear my community hat. I was an agriculture major in college. I think this is a very exciting project. So I'm more than happy to help on things like facilitating existing tenants that you already have in place as community hat. As just being a partner on the project. So, and that would go the same as far as assisting with the CC&R conversation with the attorney. I see that as just being part of the package of trying to help launch the project.
Do you have examples of, what did you call it, covenant?
I did send over some from it's not exactly apples to apples. Obviously, this is an innovation because there is nothing like this. But yes, there are similar types of developments in Thurston County, and it's public record because those are recorded documents. So I was able to share some off of one that we just recently did in Hawks Prairie. There is a lot of, after being pretty intimately involved in that process, there are a lot of questions that will arise as to, well, is the city of Tenino going to snowplow the road? Let's just, you know, or is somebody else going to do it? Who's in charge of hiring the people? Who's in charge of paying it? Who's going to manage? So there will be a lot of questions that come up that will need to get answered. But using a plate of something else does help because it at least gives you something to go off of.
Yeah, without that, because I don't know about anybody else here, but I am not a property manager. I am a salesman. You want something sell, I can find a way to sell it. But having that template will give us a good starting point. It would start a good conversation on what could be next and what we can do, what we can't do, that kind of stuff.
Yep. And I don't know how it works as far as how you guys delegate tasks to staff. You know, this is a pretty heavy lift as far as workload. So, and I do not want to speak for the EDC, but I believe the EDC has offered to help facilitate this process as they are trying to transition some of their duties. And I think that would be of huge value if the EDC could continue to support getting the CCNRs in place.
The EDC is definitely willing to help, as well as Perry and Dragon Wheel. And I don't know if many of you all, well, certainly like John and Linda would remember, but I'm not even sure if Jason, but we did a Green Ribbon advisory panel where we met for months with all these stakeholders from the agricultural community and all sorts of people all over the region here at the Quarry House. And so we have some kind of guidelines of like what kind of tenants we were looking for, what kind of process might work. But anyways, there is a starting point there. And then Perry with Dragon Wheel currently has the commercial lease and he's willing to, until we gather more buildings and can form some kind of tenant association, he's willing to manage the property and have that, you know, as part of his role. So anyways, the EDC and Dragon Wheel, like everything, is arm in arm with the city if you want us. So
And I think, you know, Asland has probably more connections in the agriculture community than anyone. So it's not that he hasn't been exposing the property to those folks. And that's where I really want some guidance from you as far as how far can we stretch out of that box. Because I like to set reasonable expectations. Construction costs are really high right now. This will be, it won't make sense most likely for an investor. It will need to be an owner user for it to make sense. And so just finding the right person and the right fit that meets the needs that you all get to set. So I want to take my direction from you, and also be honest with you that the more we limit it, it's just makes it more challenging to find the right fit. But obviously it needs to honor the original intent of the Ag and Innovation Park. So I see you might have some. Do you have some feedback as far as what you see?
Well, of course, I think everybody
Councilman?
knows that how I feel about it. I want it's an ag innovation park, and that's the way it needs to stay. We can't have. Well, I can't think of any kind of business now that.
Is the office user that's currently going to be underway acceptable as that being an example, an office user? Dragon Wheel is it?
Yeah, well, he's got that's his private, but yes.
And so that was some of the feedback that I gave, is that there already has been a bit of a stretching based on the partnership with Dragon Wheel and the services that they offer not being specifically agriculture.
Well, except that it is like innovation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, that's
absolutely.
what we're talking about. Innovation versus, does it have to be agricultural innovation, or can it be a wider innovation? You know,
and that's where I want to honor your intent, but I don't want to assume either. So
I mean, that's where it came up about a motel, because we've been talking about motels for, you know, and there's a lot out there. And would a motel support agricultural businesses? And does that if somebody wanted to build out there, would people think that was
definitely help a lot with the Tenino Range?
And that's
exactly
agricultural
which is kind
tourism.
of agricultural.
Yeah,
exactly. But it's so that's what came up. How the motel kind of came up is we need to support people coming here also, instead of them going
I
to.
had never thought of it.
And that's we had a very creative, generative conversation, and it created more questions. So I just want to make sure I'm not discriminating. Like, I want to make sure that we have clarity so that we are not being discriminatory of like picking and choosing, right? We want to make sure we have a consistent policy. And this could be something that you guys could have further discussion on, but that would be helpful, is really understanding if it's appropriate to be expansive with my definition of innovation and nexus to agriculture, or whether you have more specific direction that you would say yes or no to.
I have a question. I understand your perspective about if you're going to go look for people, you need to kind of have so if you came out and said, hey, I got this company X that wants to make widgets, can you come back to us and say, this is this company, here's what they do, do you think this is appropriate for that? Or is it kind of bad business to kind of recruit them and then come in and we say, no, we don't really think that's a good use?
I absolutely can do whatever you would like. From a real estate perspective, the more unanswered questions, the more difficult it is to get someone on board, right? Because they're like, well, what if I don't get approved by the council? And it creates extra steps. I think from a partnership perspective and a fairness perspective, having some clarity on how you want that to be applied will also allow you all to not have to feel like you're picking and choosing, and that there's a consistent process. So however you want to do that is completely reasonable, and it could just be a group decision on each particular tenant. I would just say that might make people, it might not entice people to want to be there, because it might just be too many unanswered questions.
So I guess from my perspective, the ag is kind of clear. It's kind of ag related.
Right.
I don't think that's the innovation part of it for me is, does it support the greater agricultural, like a motel? Does that bring more people to go to these, agricultural producers and look at, see what they're doing? To me, that's kind of the whole purpose of this place is to bring people to our community to visit these agricultural businesses and support them. So for me, innovation, that would kind of, I think, help support the whole agricultural business in our community, personally.
And you guys will have to sign off on anything, so obviously you will have final say. I'm more so looking for
Bigger
if
picture,
there
yeah.
is, if you are comfortable with me having an expansive lens of agriculture and innovation and marketing it that way, then that's what I will do. And then you will always have the opportunity to say, no, this isn't the right fit. And if you'd like me to rein that in some, that's the feedback. If you're like, we really don't want this. Covenants oftentimes include things like tattoo parlors or adult uses and things like that's very typical. Things that involve, there's a list of things that are very often listed in covenants. We could exclude. There's lots of things we could exclude. So I won't go down that list on public record.
It might be more productive rather than excluding it, but
Yeah.
but highlighting that we're looking for agricultural innovation.
Yep.
I'm late to the process, so I didn't have a chance.
And we don't have
run
to
up
make a decision tonight. I think this is more just here's what we're looking at doing, and you can ask questions
And
tonight, and we'll.
I think that if we are gonna have the final say on things, I don't think there's a problem.
Will you finish that thought though, Jeff? Just so
Yes.
that
So my understanding is agricultural innovation, that it's about the local agriculture, the food and the animals and things we're doing with it. And I think having a park as it's developed that is exclusive to that, perhaps primarily that, there's a certain synergy. As we try to become more of a destination city with a motel or hotel, the food tourists who are coming here to get those handcrafted foods and cheeses and whatnot, to have a dozen different shops and 4 different restaurants with gourmet, to me that's my vision of the agricultural park and where we're wanting to go. And just in my perception in the last year of being here and hearing about it from the start.
And so what I hear you saying is that a somewhat expansive view, food service, potentially lodging, potentially anything that would have a nexus to supporting that food and food tourism and agriculture and agricultural production and tourism.
Pretty much.
Okay.
About the lodging, I think we can find other places in the city that we could put up a hotel for our
Boy, I'd like
visitors.
to know where.
We'll have,
I won't rule it out for now. How's that?
and I won't either, but that's a secondary use as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, and if we have meat processing or other things that have a direct impact on our ability to conduct agricultural processes, obviously that will take priority, because that is more in keeping with everyone's primary intent. So,
I think there's 2 things that we need to address first. One is the templates to see what we might want to do, and 2, to actually come up with what we mean by innovative. Because if you've been listening, it's all over the map. When you have something that's all over the map, it gets harder and harder to actually go after and get something. But if we have something narrowed down, and I don't mean we're going to be like this, we might be like this. But if we don't start narrowing down what we mean by being innovative, because words are very important, it might get almost impossible for you or anybody in that position to do that job.
sure. Yeah, I think the more direction you want to give me, the better. My personal and professional recommendation would be having an expansive lens would help to recruit tenants to the space, and that needs to fit your vision. So, oh yes, sir. Sorry, didn't see you back there.
I would just like to propose, we do have a standing working group right now that includes the city, the EDC, and Dragon Wheel. I'd like to propose that we start to work on those, the CCRs, the covenants, and if there's somebody who specifically from council wants to be part of that working group, then, please, volunteer yourself, and let us kind of come back with some start of a suggestion of boundaries, and if Amy's willing to help guide in some of that process and remind us that we do need to actually attract people. So anyways, that would be my proposal. And then as far as action tonight, I think the only thing we just need to know if we can move forward with getting this listing agreement started, as again, there's no cost associated. It's all based on commission. But we do need to
Have an
start the
agreement
process.
set, yeah. We'll have to get the council will have to, again, get an agreement with Amy and bring that to the council when we get that done, but if you want us to move forward with that.
And the CCNRs, there will be a cost associated with that from a legal perspective. So just making sure that you guys all have buy-in on that, because you're gonna have to spend a little bit more money to get that property ready for somebody to occupy. So, but as far as I mean, it's great. The majority of it's in the CCNRs will give clarity on who's paying for what. Which will protect you. I mean, that is a big part of the intent. We don't want you just getting the bill. That needs to be dispersed between all of your tenants. So, and there's ways in the CCNRs to maintain control until you have a certain percentage sold, and that can completely vary. So that's all legal stuff, but just be thinking about that. And then if you want to direct staff or mayor to get that done. And I think the working group is a great idea. Because they're already in place. So, do you have questions for me on overall, on pricing, on how my services work, what we do? What do you want to know?
I want to step back, if I may, in going forward and deciding what we want to do with that park. You know, we had this, I understand, a green ribbon panel of local. Maybe it's time to go back to those same folks and say, hey, it's real, it's happening. You know, we've got buildings up. You know, give us your thoughts. Now that it's not just pie in the sky, this would be nice to do. We're actually doing it. What do you want to do? What can we do? And maybe we can get some commitments with some of these local organizations and bring them in.
I think that's a great idea.
I'd rather see the local producers being our tenants rather than going out and attracting out-of-state companies that have this innovation or whatever. You know, that's the purpose. It's our Thurston County, Lewis County, Southwest Washington. You know, these are our products. Here's what we do. We're proud of them. Come see it.
I think that's a great idea, and there's already been a lot of good work done, and having something to present that's clear and provides people with certainty as to what's the cost going to be, what's my obligation going to be, maintenance, etc. That'll really allow us to go back to those people with something fresh and say, are you interested? And the great thing about Tenino is most likely those are the people you're going to attract. So,
do I understand you're suggesting that we develop the CCRs before we actually know what our goal is, before we narrow down our focus on the park?
I think that can happen in tandem. So the CCNRs will define your focus as far as the use. So I think that I would start working on the CCNRs right away, and I would allow that to help illustrate your process as far as your shared vision.
Well, it's kind of a chicken-egg thing. If you're doing them in tandem, both processes are going to influence each other, right?
Yes, I just think that the list of questions will come straight from your lawyer on the CCNRs. So the list of questions will be who's in charge of maintenance, who's paying for it, what are the restrictions on use, and with the EDC working on that, I think that will help drive the correct questions. So I think if you start with the questions, you won't necessarily know what they are. You know what I mean? The CCNRs provide a good roadmap. But you could have that conversation first, going into the CCNRs too, if you preferred. So either way is however you want to move it forward.
And I don't know do we know how we want to move forward? This is a new concept.
Yeah.
That you bring to us tonight. To me,
I would suggest we have some time to all think about it, and the next meeting we kind of bring back some thoughts and make sure everybody has time to think about what we've heard tonight, and stew it over a little bit, and next meeting come back and kind of have a little bit more discussion about exactly how we want to.
I agree, and some more information, the sample CCRs that you mentioned, and maybe a more written proposal on the pricing and whatnot that you're talking about.
Yeah, and I have some of that. So, and I wasn't sure exactly what you all wanted. So, I think as far as the questions that we need answered, it would be, do you want to move forward with this process of hiring a broker and getting this on board? D, do you want to hire me? And you can look at, you know, my fee structure, and you can look me up on the internet and do whatever you want to do. And then from there, if that is the case, then moving forward with the CCNRs and your shared vision, and whether or not you want to task whether you want to use this task force that is already in place. Because there is some element of time is of the essence. You know, as we all know, these processes can get away from us. So building the plane as you fly a little bit, but that's what you guys as a council need to answer. So what information can I give you? I have my listing agreement. I have a flyer that I can give you guys that kind of just, you know, mocks things up. Dave can get, or Mayor can get you the CCNRs that I sent over. What else can I get you so that you have all the information to?
Anyone else before I'm monopolizing the?
Well, I just think, I think that you working with Jen and the mayor on this thing to get it started, and then then come back here. That's what I think we need to do.
And I can send, like, if you just send me,
Yeah.
if you have electronic copies, we can send it
Yep.
out to everybody.
So we want the listing agreement, we want the flyer, we want the CCNRs, we want anything else? I pulled some comps. There aren't really a lot of comps, as you can imagine, but there was 2 planned industrial communities in Tumwater and 1 more medical retail in Hawks Prairie that I think were the most comparable. I'm happy to send those if that is helpful, just from a pricing perspective. Would that be helpful?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Okay.
Anything that you think would be.
Yeah, and this, in Tenino specifically, is an art and a science. So you are pioneering, which is what's exciting about this. And you're pioneering. What if you ask me how long is it going to take to get somebody in here? I would not have a clear answer for you. And I priced it as best I could based on comps in the market, based on the condition of the site. And does that mean that you might get an offer that's lower? You might, and then you get to make that decision whether that makes sense based on if it meets the needs, the community needs. You know, that's where when we do these, in my other job as a port commissioner, like the public-private, you guys may find a tenant that really meets a public need, and you might have a different view. So
one thing I'd like to see is you've mentioned the EDC and Dragon Ball, what they can do for us. Can we get something from them on what they're offering, what their capability, what they're willing to do? They've done so much already. How they can help with this
Yep.
process.
And is it fair to assume that with everything you all have going on, that having some support, like if Dragon Wheel was willing to manage it, but wanted to be paid for that, do you want a lot of different proposals? Does the city of Tenino want to take on all of these maintenance and management responsibilities, or would you rather outsource that, or is that part of the conversation?
That's going to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I think that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another part of the conversation that I think is going to be extremely important is what effects that type of growth is going to have on the city in itself. Because right now we've got 2 buildings that are going up, both of them fully occupied. Mm-hmm. Once they are starting to take that occupancy, what is it going to do to the traffic? What's it going to do to the roads? What's it going to do to all kinds of stuff that will directly affect the city? That will also help guide on what we're looking at doing. Because if you grow too fast, that's not a good thing. You've been out there, you know what the roads look like out there. Will that be able to accommodate? And if not, who's paying to get that done? Because we don't have that kind of money.
And I'm assuming that they would go through land use process, and so that would be considered in your land use process. But I don't know exactly how all of that's set up, but I would assume that would be accounted for in their permitting and fee process for the whoever ends up building the building. That's typically how it works. You pay an impact fee. So if I want to open a daycare and I generate an immense amount of traffic, my impact fee is X. If I want to open a mini storage, my impact fee is Y, because I'm utilizing the services less. So I'm assuming that you would have some of that built into your land use, but definitely important considerations. And the answer might be that you guys don't want to list these right now, that's okay too. Like, this is all directed by you. So, and again, I am just here to provide you with honest, in my opinion, market information so that you can decide what you want to do.
And to clarify, we're talking about finding tenants who are going to be signing up for a building that hasn't been built yet.
We are talking about land leasing the land and having someone else construct the building. So we are not talking about this at this point. We can if you want. We are not talking about the city of Tenino constructing. What we're talking about is utilizing the existing pad sites and doing a land lease to a prospective, most likely owner user. If I have a little cafe that sells, if I have a little cheese shop that sells local cheese, they're going to come and they're going to pay you guys, you know, if they're on the big lot, I said $2,900 a month. And that's going to be their land lease, but they're going to pay to build the whole building. They're going to pay for everything inside. So they're leasing the land is the...
Okay, are we continuing with these size buildings? You know, a little cheese shop is probably not going to build the size of the building we have. Are we going to have to get multiple small?
Just an example.
The two lots that are available are 0.363 acres and then 0.728 acres, and then there's the larger one in the back, but we're focusing on those two. If you used like a 40% utilization of the site, those are not going to be humongous buildings, just with parking and, well, I guess maybe parking doesn't apply in this case. They're not talking about huge sites. So it's going to be driven by the user as to how big that site's going to be, but we're not talking about acres and acres. We're not talking about anything as big as
Not
the
talking
other.
about high rises.
We're not.
No,
So
I understand that. It still is. I've been on this council for a very long time, and when I first got here, we didn't even have 1,500 people here.
Totally.
We're talking over 20 years, and we're just about that 2,000, a little over, a little under, depending on the week. It's been a nice, slow, controlled growth that we don't get any complaints about.
Mm-hmm.
If we build something and all of a sudden you're seeing these giant growths and we've got to go get annexing all of this land just to maintain all that stuff, all that kind of stuff, we're going to have a lot of problems from the people that live here.
And
now,
that-
in 10 years from now, we've got a whole new group of people. For example, I'm 66. I'm aging out, okay? Once my group finally does age out, either drops dead or we're just too old to fight back anymore, the next generation is going to come in
You're
and
never gonna be too
decide
old.
what everything's going to be. If we set down a solid groundwork first, we can continue with a nice, slow growth. So nobody has to worry all of a sudden about how we're going to get power, how we're going to get water, how we're going to fill these buildings, all of that stuff that goes along with a new building. And these are things that I believe we need to look at.
These are things we need to talk about.
Yes.
And council member, that is a policy decision that this is property the city of Tenino controls.
Yeah, but
so,
this is something that you need to know, at least one of us think we need to do.
absolutely, and this is where you all speak with one voice to me, right? Because you govern as a body, and so that's where I need feedback from you as a body as to how you would like to proceed. That is a very valid comment. So you as a council have to decide what you'd like to see out there. And then whether it's me or someone else, give them that direction. So I will send that stuff to Jen. And then Jen can distribute it to you. I'll give you guys my card. Is that okay? You're welcome to reach out to me with questions any specific questions. Yeah, I'll just email it. I printed a few things out, but I'll just email it to you. It'll be easier. Do you have any other?
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Amy.
Lots of them.
Thank you.
Have no idea who you are.
Thank you so much, Aslan and Amy, for coming and talking about this. This is a big big step for us in the ag park and moving forward with that, so I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I know you gotta get the actual meeting started. Can I piggyback on this really quick?
Yeah, we got 9 minutes.
Sorry, I know we've taken a lot of time already. I just actually wanted to just harken back. Last time I was up here before you guys we were talking about owning HVAC system as a way to secure the USDA funding. Just want you to know that that is currently with your lawyer right now, the amendment that has been drafted. And I just want to get clarity, will that have to come back to you all in some way to be approved by the entire, or is that something that the mayor can sign an amendment once it's gone through the legal review?
The council has the ability to let me sign something, I think, if they want to. I mean, we can't do it right now, but if they want to trust us to sign that, technically, most of the time, if we get something from our lawyer, it comes back to the council for review before we
And I'm
pass
not,
it.
no pressure on you all, it's just, it's a money issue. Like, we have sought reimbursement for this. We have like $100,000 to send to Jen as soon as this agreement's
Yeah.
done, so she can start paying some of these bills. So, but it's up to you all. I just, just wanted to, that's where we're at in the process, so.
Need to put it on the agenda.
Well,
for
we can
next
put it
meeting.
on, yeah. We can, yeah.
Okay,
We can talk about that during the meeting if we need to, whether you want me to sign it when we get it done or bring it back to council. Yeah, we'll
I
decide
appreciate
that.
it.
Yeah.
But tonight's agenda, because we need to get it right away, right?
The sooner the better, because we're
For,
waiting
for
on
your
money.
own cash flow, the sooner or
Yeah,
better.
It's just money that they want to give us.
Yeah.
Understand.
I thought he said next meeting, but it's
No.
tonight.
We could put it
We
on the
could do
agenda
it tonight.
tonight, just
You
for
just
you
have
to
to amend
decide
the
whether you just
agenda.
want me to let me sign it when the attorney approves it, or bring it back to you before,
Yeah, I
for
don't think
approval.
we,
So, but we can
as far
talk
as I'm
about that during
concerned,
the
I don't think we need to.
Let's put it on the agenda, then we'll add it on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you
where we
very
wanna
much.
go with that.
Thank you for your time and consideration
Under new
as the
business.
entire Fournier family walks in. Thank you.
Uh,
Okay. Got 7 minutes, we'll let Cheryl do it.
Yeah, Cheryl, do you need more than 7 minutes, or?
I don't.
Okay,
Quick.
we'll let you can get on.
My real estate hat's on though. That's a lot of information. For you, any of you that don't know me, I'm Cheryl Pierce. I'm the president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Tenino. And I wanted to give a brief update tonight for Oregon Trail Days. Tomorrow we have our wrap-up meeting with all the particulars that are involved in organizing that throughout the year. So we will either come back to the next council meeting, or we'll send in a report on anything if we have updates that follow that. But first of all, we'd like to thank the city and Public Works for the continued support that we have from the city. Public Works is amazing. We absolutely couldn't do the Oregon Trail Days without them. I just don't know, that would just be, it would just be crazy. Overall, we think that this year was very successful. We think we had some record numbers. We had a lot of changes this year also, and so that's one of the things that we would like to have input back from the city or from Public Works if there was any issues that we're not aware of, that we make sure that we improve on for next year. And so we did have a lot of changes. One of them was where we staged for the parade. That was at the middle school. In my brief talk with Tyann Curtis, who organizes that, she was very happy with that. You know, we can always improve, but we do want to talk to the police department, the people involved in that motion, that changed traffic flow and stuff, and make sure that that's a good location moving forward. We had the 3-on-3 basketball tournament this year as an addition to that Oregon Trail Days weekend. Robin Johnson organized that. It wasn't really, we didn't as Oregon Trail Days committee, but you know, they worked in conjunction with us. They had about 90 teams register for that, and we think we had about 2,000 extra people in town because of that tournament. We had nothing but positive feedback. It was so much fun. They were very professional, and we look forward to having their participation in the years going forward. We made some changes in the park location. We created what we called Cascadia country in the open field where they have the soccer field there. Pioneer Village became part of Cascadia country, so we had the Rock and Gem Show, Pioneer Village, Cascadians, Dutch Oven Society, and the Primitives all in that group. It made the park look huge. It looked like we really expanded things when really what we did was organize it better. But great flow between the vendors and that portion of the park, and good traffic flow and stuff. And so we thought that was a really positive thing. We'll have some more information on that. George put out a questionnaire. We got about 94, 95 responses back on that, so we'll have some input on that. Moving forward, at the museum area, we want to have more historical experiences up there. The salmon bake is as always was a hit. Having the quarry pool open was fantastic. All the areas looking really nice up there too. We had the quilt show in the quarry house. That was a great location for that. Amy Tripp, who organizes that, said she had fantastic traffic coming through the quarry house for that. And so we just appreciate the city and everybody's participation in that, and that's what I got for
I
you.
think the best response in that survey was the little boy that said to his grandma, "That was just lots of fun, but I think they need to heat that pool."
Lots of good feedback. You know,
Tell them we
some-
get more bodies in there, the water gets warmer.
Some really great constructive ideas too, what people really loved, and other things that they would like to see improved on and stuff. But really, all of it was very, very positive. So we had good feedback from the community. So thanks again.
Well, I just wanted to share how much we appreciate all the work that you put into this, because I know it's, and everybody else that was involved, because I know it's a huge, huge thing, even though it's been going on for many years. Every time it seems like, oh boy, how are we going to deal with this? Or, there's always a lot of work to do. So we appreciate.
Thank you very much. We have some really fantastic folks that have been involved with Oregon Trail Days for years. This is my second year of being more boots on the ground with Oregon Trail Days with the cafe. I was never able to participate hands-on, and it's really fun most of the time.
Yeah,
It's really fun most of the time. But Dan with the Rock and Gem Show, and Tyann's been doing the parade for years, and Jody Stoltz organizes all the vendors. So all of those different compartments that put this all together are just really hardworking, fantastic people. George Sharp, who kind of spearheads the whole thing. So we have lots of good people behind that.
and you
It
can
just
use
seems
more.
like-
You can always use more volunteers too, right?
Oh my goodness, yes.
For
we
those
need
out there
more
listening,
volunteers.
yeah.
Anybody want to step up? Come on in.
Thank you so much. We just got a few more 30 seconds before our regular meeting starts. If anybody has a quick, thanks again for coming, you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, wait a minute. You got here to stay.
As we just told Amy, nobody comes. Nobody comes to meetings. Linda, are you doing George's, the rest of
Oh.
George? No, I don't mean right now, I'm just saying.
Well, it's just about it's just about this,
Time's up.
setting.
Too late.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, it's 7:30. I'll call to order the regular meeting of the Tenino City Council for August 13th, 2024. Can you all rise for the flag salute? John, you want to start us out?
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda approval. We have an agenda presented. I would like to add the EDC ownership agreement under new business, if everybody's okay with that. Or
Move approval with the amended agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda with the addition under new business of the EDC ownership agreement. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Say
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes from the meeting of 7:23.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, I don't know why I can't say that word tonight, to approve the meeting minutes from 7/23/2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is this correct on here for the, you usually print me one out, that's all correct? Okay. Did you? I'll just read it off of here. I just know sometimes there's changes, so I wanted to make sure I got the right thing. So next on the agenda is consent calendar from July 24th, 2024 through August 13th, 24, consisting of payroll checks 32564 and 32565 and ETFs in the amount of $126,079.22. Claims checks 32566 through 32614 in the amount of $277,455.09 for a grand total of $403,534.31. And there's a liquor license renewal for Pizza Mia.
No approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent calendar as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no executive session presentation. Mayor recognition plaque. Linda, would you like to present the plaque to the
council.
and while she's getting that ready, I just want to say, as my time on the council for many years working with Wayne, and you know what he left us is he really left a legacy in the community. The ag park, the swimming pool, the pump track, that park, what we've got there is amazing addition into our community. So I just want to express my appreciation. Yeah, so the list goes on. I just want to appreciate, say my appreciation for the work you've done.
No duck lips. He's a poser.
It's gonna go right there.
Hold on, do you? I thought you had some words.
I forgot. I want to thank Wayne for his vision of 12 years ago, that the city would not be where it is if you hadn't had that in your mind, and I appreciate it very much. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, council. Thank you, mayor.
In his room. Yeah, we can sit over there.
Yeah, it was an honor to serve as mayor, city council member, and it's an honor to continue to serve the community as a District 4 County Commissioner. Just kind of brief update, and thanks to Tenino that's going on. Last week we approved, I'm sure you've probably covered it already, but we approved I want to say it was a $360,000 grant to put in EV charging stations in at the ag park. You guys covered that probably?
A while back.
Okay, yeah, so that's all done and sewed up. And I continue to advocate for Tenino. There was a Conservation Futures grant that you guys put in for to purchase some land over by the park. It ranked low, but I'm going to try and finagle my way into getting some more funds approved. So I fight for Tenino every day, and I love that I now get to fight for the greater community as well. So if you guys have anything, if you need anything, I have an open door. You should all have my email. You can contact me about anything, questions, things you want to work on, ideas, anytime. So I'm still here.
Great. Thank you, Wayne.
We do
Thanks, Wayne.
appreciate it, yeah.
Any questions? While you got your commissioner here?
I have a question, actually.
Go ahead.
What's on our agenda for tonight, not really on this. I got a note from our planners about there's some process for annexation, and there's been some back and forth between the county and this organization about wording in the counties, how you can annex property and get rid of another piece.
The annexation swap.
Swap, yeah.
So in I
This
don't
is
know.
on our radar.
Yeah, it's a few years ago, the state passed a law that you could do annexation, you could do UGA swaps. So there's a proposed one in Tumwater, and its project's called Bar Holdings, and Tumwater's UGA is about where like kind of the north end of Black Lake is, and it's all swamp. So you really can't develop there, and UGAs are made to where that's where your future expansion goes. And there's a proposal to swap kind of the portion of land that is south of Tumwater, kind of by Station 64, if you guys know where that is.
Where they want to build that development, I think?
Yeah, by the barn.
Yeah.
And so they would swap that UGA. There's now a law that allows that. There's a development proposal called Bar Holdings that would put in some like moderate income housing, a YMCA, some doctor's offices. It's a nice development. And that has to go through what's called the UGM subcommittee. That's a group that TRPC has that Councilmember O'Callahan sits on. And so he'll be reviewing what is the county's like land development codes, and everybody gets to weigh in on how the county is allowed to do these swaps now. So that's kind of a bubbling topic.
If I understood just further, since we're talking about it, it used to be you could only get rid of a piece of property or add a piece of property. You couldn't do these swaps before.
Yeah, and it's never been done in the state.
It's never been
So
done.
it was a new law. It's never been done anywhere, so we're kind of inventing it as we go along.
We're pioneering.
Yeah. But it's an exciting opportunity. And then I know we've talked about it before. We put on the county's docket to review Tenino's UGA. So at some point this year, as we knock off, because the UGA is the county's jurisdiction, it's their responsibility, and each community has a UGA. And if you look at the UGAs for Tenino, Bucota, and Rainier, they really don't make any sense. Tenino's his UGA is like it goes up into the park, and then there's a part that goes out onto Military Road where there won't likely be any development. So what exactly will happen, we don't know. We're just going to do a study, and then you guys would be notified and be able to weigh in on things, and hopefully the county will be able to find a more appropriate UGA area for the city of Tenino. And then I'm going to shoot for Rainier and then for Bucota, and just I want to make sure that they're paying attention and
To South County.
yeah, putting in work down here. Like I think that's my job.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we'll talk. The reason I asked him to talk about this is because we just asked on the 19th. I think it's going to.
Monday.
It's going before, and they just asked. It's not really our control, but they asked us what we thought about this process, and and our planner said he's supportive of it, and I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of what they're looking at doing.
It'll be a good process
I
to
think
have
it'll
on
be
the
good for
books.
us, yeah.
Considering what happened, I can't even remember how long ago, but Thurston County and the rest of the state got sued by Future Ones because they said that, well, you have all of these UGAs here that are so expansive, ours wasn't, that you can't show what you really want to do with them and how soon you want to get it done with. So everybody in the state had to draw in all of their land, the lines, and just cost tons of money. So this swapping thing, instead of just saying we want this isn't any good for us, but this one is. Being able to swap is, I think, a very good step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, John, we'll talk about it at the regular, but I think kind of what you've heard here. If it comes up at the TRPC meeting, you can represent.
It'll be at Monday's UGA. There's no
UGA.
TRPC and TPP
Okay.
this month.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
One last thing to put in the back of your mind. We've got
The first responder potluck barbecue.
No, thank thank you for actually spreading the word on that. I got a call the other day, and I returned it yesterday. But we've got a lot.
I made sure that the county kept it as a proclamation as well.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
yep.
Did they read it?
We do every year.
No.
So it's-
When are they going to read it so I can be there? Because I wasn't there the first
I'd
time.
have to look, but yeah,
If you can let me know, I'd appreciate that.
will do.
What I'm talking about are bike trails. We got lots of bike trails, and we got a lot of them within the cities, which are very visible. But we got a lot like the one out here that once you get past the city limits, there's no visibility. There's no security. We can see what's happening with the northern trails, where people are getting bad things are happening. Let's put it that way. We have no plan for security for those areas. I just started bringing it up again at TRPC and TPB, And nobody seems to be nibbling on that thing that I see coming as bad. And the reason I see that if we don't have anything for security out there, the population that we're going, I think we're going to hit 400,000 in about a 10-year period, maybe a little bit less. We need to start looking at, even if we don't implement something, start looking at security for those areas.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because on the 15th at the South Sound Mall, I don't know what it is even called now, but what was once the South Sound Mall, the county and the sheriff's department is hosting a trail security rodeo essentially, and so Public Works will be out there talking about trail safety and not all kinds of aspects of safety, but how to ride properly, how to make sure that you're watching out for e-bikes, and then the sheriff's department will be going over safety precautions for people. So it is being talked about, and then the county's holding a kind of a workshop on it on the 15th. If you're available and if you want to help promote that, I'm sure you can find that on there.
Send me some information. I'll get it out.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks again for all you've done. We appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wayne.
Public comments. Is there anybody public that wants to speak?
Can I say something
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick? I just want to thank Commissioner Fournier, because a couple weeks ago, the chief has been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks how concerned we were about the trail and people just bombing their bikes through now that the trail's been extended to Crowder. And we emailed Matthew and Commissioner Fournier, and they got stop signs put up. And
They didn't want to put them up at first.
they did
No.
it.
And then Matt went back to him and was like, no.
Like, someone actually got hit there, and then the stop signs were up like the next day. So magic happened. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Public comment. Does anybody want to speak for public comments? Going once, going twice. Thank you all.
Good night.
Hearing none, we'll move on to old business.
Bye, AJ. Bye-bye, AJ. Bye,
See you
Davina.
later. We've had a contract with Verizon for some time for leasing the property that the cell tower's on. It's almost time for renewal, so they have provided us with some options.
Yeah.
There's two options, basically. They now rent, so they just pay us a monthly amount. The new proposal is for $900 per month, commencing on 11/1/24, with a rent escalator of 10% every 5 years through every 5 years. The addition, and this term would be for 4 additional 5-year renewal terms, up to 4. The other option is a lump sum payment option. They would provide a lump sum payment of $221,000. In return, you'll be granted a 99-year easement on your property. We would grant them a 99-year easement on their property for the one-time payment. We talked a little bit about this, but it's really the council's decision. We're kind of bringing forward the monthly rental thing, even though it's not a big amount. I mean, 99 years is a long time.
Yeah, I'd
That's a
like
long
that.
time, and
Yeah.
who knows what's
I
going
don't
to
think
change.
We want to make that concession.
Yeah,
We
so our
really
recommendation
should.
is just to go with the monthly rental and with the escalators
Yep.
as a proposal. So I'm just bringing that before council for approval. If you want to do that, you can make a motion to,
Let's go ahead. I'll make the motion so we can go into discussions. Who approve?
A second.
it's been moved and seconded to accept the Verizon contract for the monthly rental amount of $900 per month with the escalator and up to 4 or 5 additional renewal terms. Discussion.
I think the 5-year term on the renewal is not a good thing, not for us particularly. You look at what Verizon's doing, constantly raising rates on everybody. I think at least a 2-year renewal would be much better.
Okay.
So we can send that back to them?
We could make that proposal. I'm guessing you have that option.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
She called today
Yeah.
to check if we had any questions, and I told her I'd let her know if you guys had any. But
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, John.
Thank you.
You think 2 years?
Yes.
Every 2 years?
The 5-year option, is that, whose option is it? Is that their option to renew, or is our
I
option?
think we would have to approve it.
I'm sorry, say again?
What's that?
Yeah, please repeat.
We would have to, it would be just like this, we'd have to bring it back every 5 years for renewal with the
So-
terms on it.
So we have a chance to approve it or deny it every 5 years. So that's
Right.
So
and
we
they-
just want to change that every 2 years instead of
Okay.
5.
All right, and they also have the option every 5.
They could say we don't want to do it
Right,
anymore
exactly.
also, yeah.
All right.
She did express that they were getting rid of quite a few, because they just need a lot less these days, so we could
Maybe
lose
this,
out on it too, yeah.
that might- they might say, well, no, we want it 5 years or remove
Well,
it.
they're willing to pay us a 99-year lease, so they must not be thinking too hard
That's
about it.
That's very
So
true.
was it the renewal that's every 5 years? I thought it was, they said, what's the
Additional, it says
increase?
additional renewal terms, 4 additional 5-year renewable terms is what it says here. Is
See, I'm
what
not
the-
looking at the renewable, I'm looking at the price.
Oh, the price.
Yeah.
I think that would be part of the whole renewal, would be
Well, but it's 10% increase in their monthly fee.
They would
Right.
also do a 10% increase.
so I guess if we, you know, if it comes back to 2 years and they
That's
say,
okay.
well,
I
we
like
want to give you 500, we'd have to
You know,
say
I
we're
don't
not
have
going to
a-
accept 500.
I don't have a problem with the 5-year term.
Okay.
I do have a problem with being $90 a month for 5 years.
900.
Excuse me, 900 for 5 years. The escalator should be every 2 years. Look at what inflation's been doing to begin with.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, so you want 10% every 2 years instead of
Yeah.
5 years?
Okay.
Not the 5-year term?
Not the 5-year term, just
Okay.
how much.
Okay.
Just the 10% increase.
That makes
every
sense.
2
That's only
years.
$18.
Well, is
Or
that-
$9 every
Yeah,
2,
so-
yeah.
but
So it's
still.
not like it's a huge
Yeah.
increase. So I understand now, you want just the escalator to be every 2 years
Yeah.
versus 5.
Is that 10% fixed?
10% fixed,
The-
yeah. is what
because the
they're-
economy, inflation goes up and down. It's not always, 10% may be too little, it may be too much.
Yeah. Well, that's 5% a year if we do it
They
every 2
only
years,
want
so
to do 10% every 5 years.
that's what they proposed.
Yeah, that's what they're proposing is 10% increase every 5 years.
I understand. In 5 years, how much can inflation increase? It may be
Right.
much more than 10%,
Yeah,
depending on the
exactly.
Well, if we go to 2 years, then it would be a little more reasonable.
less
10%,
exposure,
yeah.
certainly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be kind of 5% every year. That seems kind of reasonable as far as inflation goes to me,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So does the contract allow, in that case, if in 2 years, inflation is 20%, does it allow us to go back and renegotiate that 10%?
It doesn't say that here. I can't.
So in 2
imagine
years, we
inflation
say,
doing
But at the end of 5 years, we can renegotiate.
currently, if we change it to 2 years, I'm saying, as you propose,
No, we're just changing the escalator. We're not changing the length of the term. So at the end of 5 years, that could be renegotiated. But for each 2-year period until the 5 years is up, it's a flat 10%.
okay, it's still not tied to any economic performance, we're just
Yeah,
increasing how
because
much we charge.
we have no idea what the economic performance is going to be.
I mean, 5% is higher than most often. I mean, we've had some outliers, but I think 5% is a reasonable
I do too.
amount over time. Any other discussion? So what I'm hearing in the proposal is we would, this is not, we're not signing an agreement because we don't have any agreement. We're going to send this back to them with a rent amount of $900 per month with a 10% escalator every 2 years.
Yes.
And then additional renewal terms of up to 4 additional renewals, 5-year renewals.
Okay.
Is that correctly? Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so anybody, you've already made the motion. Any other discussion? Without not hearing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Guy.
Opposed? Okay. Did you get that? Or I got it kind of written down here?
Yeah, I think I
I think I can remember that part. I think tomorrow morning I'll say, what did we talk about? I'll forget by then.
My calls are tomorrow.
Yeah. Hopefully somebody's taking good notes. Okay, the next on, we're going to new business now. The next thing is the electrification and appliance rebate program. We talked about this some time ago. We applied for a grant to help lower income people upgrade their heating systems to more efficient appliances. We got $95,000, which talking to others will probably let us help 6 or 7 families in our town to upgrade heating.
City.
That's good.
So it's
City.
City, yeah, sorry. So anyway, we're asking for approval of that
Move approval.
agreement. It's been approved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
From what I was reading on this contract, it's got all these different elements in there, like earth dryers, and
Yes.
it's not actually like a heat pump or
Yeah.
actually heating the home.
Yeah,
It's for dryers and,
no,
and
it's
water
both.
heaters and.
It's both. You can use it for, you actually use it for several things. You can use it for heating systems. You can use it for like more efficient hot water systems. You can use it for energy efficient appliances.
That's the way I read it.
Oh, that's not the way I read it.
Yeah,
so
it's,
that's
you may have missed it, yeah, but it does allow heating, definitely allows heating. And like I said, we can go further in the scope, but my hope was to keep it fairly simple and just do heating systems instead of trying to do a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And I think you just lose some efficiency if we can say we want to do 6 or 7 heating system upgrades and put that out to people. And,
Yeah, that
and
would be good.
you know, I think the more simple we can keep it, the less overhead and
Right,
confusion we get.
right.
So my plan was to just promote heating systems upgrades. It's kind of what I wanted.
Yeah,
And there's
yeah.
that flexibility to do that.
Yep.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
okay.
Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Change order number 4, Ag Park North Building Electrical. Let me get my. I don't have that one, Jen. Did I get,
Yeah.
oh, here it is. Sorry, I picked up too much paper. There is a small change order for the Ag Park Electrical of $2,645.77. My understanding, this is another one where exterior emergency lights were required and were not in the original bid documents. So they have to get the exterior lighting, its battery backup, and installation on those to meet building code. And I hope that they provided all the information on this in your packet.
It's the same one. Mike came on and talked to us about this
Yeah,
a
he
couple
came.
meetings ago.
Yeah, he
That's
said
the
this is one he said was coming for the lighting
Yeah.
when he was the last one we had.
Move approval.
What, second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the change order for emergency lighting at the North Building Ag Park for $2,645.77. Is there any discussion?
I just have this question, just because I thought it was odd. Why would we pay electricians' tools?
Electrician's tools? Is it in
It's
the?
in there.
There's a drill
It's
bit.
only $63.86.
Oh, small
I mean, I
tools.
wouldn't hang it up for that, but I was just like, why are we paying for their tools?
It's an expense. It's a business expense. It's cost of doing
It's
the
a
job.
business expense. Why wouldn't they already have their tools?
I think it's more just wear and tear on stuff as they use them, or maybe specialty tools they
Or
need to do.
a
I
different
don't know.
task. I buy new tools all the time for doing different things. So it's just part of running a construction business is sometimes
Charging
you
some for tools.
and broken
Just
tools
was
and lost
curious,
tools. Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I didn't catch that one either.
I
but,
didn't either.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Let's see, I think there's the other one I missed. Interlocal cooperation agreement between Thurston County and the City of Tenino to participate in the CDBG block grant entitlement. Do you want me to explain what this change is here, or has everybody had a chance to read it? Before, we were in a group with Lacey. They dropped out because they reached a population, so it's just now us, Tumwater, and us. It's the same agreement. It's just now a rotation every other year. Tumwater gets it 1 year, we get it the next instead of Tumwater. So basically the same program.
Same thing.
We
Yeah.
approved the MOU a couple weeks ago, but we forgot to add the ILA, so
Oh,
you guys kind
okay.
of already approved it, but
Okay.
Yeah.
a little different.
Already moved approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the ILA between Tenino and Thurston County. Is there any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. we added new business, the EDC ownership agreement. Like we said, the EDC provided us an agreement. We sent it to our attorney. He had some suggestions, some few changes. So it's, I think it's going back for review of the EDC. So I guess it's up to you if you want, allow me to sign that
Move
when it gets
Yes.
done, or if we just,
Move approval for the mayor
Second.
to sign
Second.
this specific, what's it called?
with approval of the attorney.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So it's been a motion and seconded to allow the mayor to sign this agreement once our attorney gives final approval. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Boy, I feel like we should be done with the meeting, but we didn't get
I
any
know,
reports this
look at
time.
this.
We're going
Running
late
over,
today.
you're running over.
Okay, let's try to get through these. Chamber of Commerce,
We already had that.
EDC.
I don't know about that.
I had it.
Oh, well, now you got it.
I'll give the steady report.
Okay, sounds good.
Steady will be Friday, August 16th, 8 a.m. to 9:30 at the Dakota Town Council Chambers in the community room. The speaker will be Stephen Bramell and Annie Salewski, whoever that is. WSU Thurston County Extension Program. The EDC next meeting will be the South Sound Real Estate Forum Thursday, September 26th, 11 a.m. to 1:30 at the South Puget Sound Community College Lacey campus. If you want to register to go to that, it's thurstonedc.com/real estate forum /.
What was that website
Never
again?
mind. Well, that's what it says.
That's it. Arch Commission, BCB's not here, Timberland Regional Library. Give you,
Here she
get you
is.
going.
Linda's like, I never have to wait this long. Not for a while, but it's interesting. What's going on? Linda McKinney, Manager of the National Library Manager. I brought my notes, so I'd be efficient today. So, working on getting the final touches done with the exterior building refresh. We have a new back door, it's very exciting. And, I just got the employee parking signs today.
I love
These things are
the
divided.
color. I just could not see that color until I saw it. Man, it's a beautiful color.
Yeah, it's a big change, but we got a lot of positive feedback.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
Of course, I'm really excited for when the mural starts going up. I'm not sure, I just got on vacation, so I'm not sure exactly where we are.
Looks like a white
I'll give an
cloud.
update on that.
Yeah, yes, yes, it's very abstract at the moment. So, we're still having fun with summer programs. This past Saturday, we celebrated Kids Day at the Farmers Market by making giant bubbles. And, we had about 63 people stop by. I'm not really sure if we had more fun, if it were the kids or the adults, but everybody had fun. August 31st is the last day to pick up your summer library program prizes, so don't forget to bring your activity logs back, which is a book to keep forever and ever, and coupons to do fun things. As far as upcoming programs, tomorrow's story time at 10:30, as always. Heads up, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to keep it until it happens. Story time is moving to Thursday mornings beginning September 5th. We'll still be at 10:30. Thursday from 2 to 4, so 2 days from now, is craft afternoon for adults. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw the green light. I thought it was on. Sorry. This Thursday, day after tomorrow, craft afternoon for adults, we are doing jewelry from unusual objects or materials. So, for instance, we're doing Scrabble tile necklaces and things from washers, necklaces from washers. Hopefully my other size washers also come in. Jewelry from clothespin springs and
A clothespin spring. Oh my God, that's funny.
clothespin springs. And no clothespins were harmed unnecessarily for these springs because we did a snowflake program in past December which required disassembling clothespins, so we're being very green with this particular activity as well.
Found a new home for 'em.
What's that?
Found a new home for 'em.
Yes, exactly. We're going to have to make lots of necklaces, though. And assuming my last materials come in on time, we will be making bracelets from pop can tabs. So that's going to be a fun thing, too. So anyway, this Thursday is a very innovative crafternoon. This Saturday from 2 to 4, we're having Lego Love at the library. So if you have the time, we have the Lego and the Duplo. So I'm looking forward to seeing what people will create together. That's for all ages. And our last big event of the summer is the Reptile Man, who will be at the park near the Quarry House on Tuesday, August 27th at 11 a.m. Always a crowd pleaser, and I'm sure it will be lots of fun again this year. I just wanted to pass on a story of like why we do what we do kind of thing. Obviously, the library strives to provide materials for entertainment and education and programs that all ages can enjoy. But something that's also important to us is that the library is a place that welcomes everybody and that it's a place for people to be. And one of the few places in the community that you don't have to pay, in any community that you don't have to pay to be able to be there all day if you want to be. But somebody let us, just chatting, told us that the library is their happy place this past week. And they said that when they need to calm down and get out of their house, they come to the library and they feel better. And that was just so awesome to hear, because not only is it a lovely space to be, but that tells me staff is doing something right as well. It tells me that everybody who uses the library is being welcoming, and that just gives me chills. So I wanted to pass that on. And I also hope that the library is a happy place for you too. Last, I wanted to let you know that you won't be seeing me again till early November. I'll be out for knee surgery starting next week. Well, more the recovery than the knee surgery. The knee surgery itself is pretty fast. But not to worry, because all of our regular programs will continue with the help of my colleagues from around the Timberland Regional Library System. So everything's still going to be happening. You just won't see me here at council for a couple months. So
You could zoom in.
I could zoom in. I think I might be just busy resting up and doing physical therapy. But that's it, unless you have any questions for me. Reptile Man is 11 a.m. on the 27th. Goes? No? Sure. All righty.
Thank you very much, and hope
Thank you.
everything goes well for you.
Yes. Thank you.
While you're here, do you want to speak on EVAC? Is there anything?
Nothing happening until the 19th. The next meeting is the 19th. July, we did not have a meeting, so the big thing that's coming up, and I'm not going to remember the date off the top of my head, but it is after our meeting on the 19th, is Screenagers is going to be shown as part of the parent orientation to the middle school. It will be open to the community as well, but that will be coming again. It's really valuable information for parents, awareness. And there's also a Screenagers 3 that is coming out that we want to host as well for the community. That's on, I believe it's on the gaming, more specifically about gaming. So those are coming up. That's really, the other thing is probably not that exciting, which is, working on the strategic plan. So you guys probably, I'm sure you'll just be happy to know when it's done. So that's the other thing that's looming large.
Oh, and Bukoda, has that been decided yet?
I don't know that that's been decided yet. I mean, there was a little flurry of discussion, and I'm sure that the 19th, there may be a final decision on that. I hope there'll be a final decision on that. The question is whether or not BDAT should have a presence at Bukoda, sorry. And there isn't any real doubt that we should have a presence. It's, do we want to be more deeply involved with planning the youth program for Bukoda? So we definitely want to be involved, but the question is, how deeply do we want to be involved? And does that fit our strategic plan and mission?
Are you working with George on that?
Yes, yeah. Yep. Okay,
Excellent.
Okay.
all
Thank
righty.
you.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you. See you when it's dark outside.
Yeah, I know.
Good luck
Yeah.
with your
Knees.
surgery.
Civil Service Commission, I don't think there's any report from them.
No,
Facade.
but if we could have our officer give his
I-
speech, because he's been here for quite some time.
Well, he's
He's
gonna
here
give
for
the
chief
chief's report.
Sure, you can do your chief's report.
Yeah, I'm just here filling in on behalf of Chief Carter. Sorry to be here.
Is your mic on? Sorry.
I turned it off again, sorry.
Yeah.
push the button.
Thank
There we
you.
go.
Thank
Okay.
you, Aaron.
Just a couple little things here. I'll start with the good things. So we renewed our interlocal agreement with Thurston County Sheriff's Office. Basically, it's just a formality this day and age, but it basically just means that they can enforce and assist us with calls within city limits, and then we can in turn assist them out in the county, which we've been doing more and more lately, just as call volume has increased. We've also renewed our agreement with the schools, so yours truly will be in the schools for the upcoming school year as the SRO, so that's always good. Now on to the less good things. So we just had a couple of uptick in arrests, specifically with squatting and with issues on the BNSF property, meaning the railroads. Yesterday we had somebody who was burning in the park. We asked them to leave, and then they started a fire up at the train tracks. So luckily we do have an agreement with BNSF that allows us to enforce trespassing on BNSF property, so we act on their behalf for them within Tenino city limits, so we were able to handle that. But just something to be aware of. We typically haven't had issues with railroad issues or people on the railroads, at least not since I've been here. But we've had at least 3 separate incidences now with people either being reckless near roadways or near the railways, or crisis mental health type issues, people hanging out up on the railroad. So it's just something to be aware of. Yeah, other than that, it's not too much other things to report on. Other than we also have had some issues with squatting in the park now that camping is kind of in full swing. We expect that's obviously going to go away when the camping shuts down for the year, which I think is
A couple weeks, I
a
think.
couple weeks now.
Yeah.
I think Labor Day Labor Day. So we expect that to go down, but just something to be aware of, that we are getting people who are either overstaying their welcome, past that 72-hour mark, or there are people who are renting those spaces and then inviting tons of other people to come in to also be in that space. And so we're getting a lot of unknowns in the park. We had a U-Haul about 10 o'clock at night at the camping spaces. So, just some little things there to be aware of. Obviously, we're not really asking for anything. It's just more for your knowledge. So, that's about all I've got. Any questions or anything like that, or anything I can clarify?
I have a question, officer. We had, the council had discussed the issues of squatting and people living in the park a couple or so meetings ago, and we were going to change the code or whatever.
The time frame.
And you mentioned 72
And we
hours.
did.
Has that gone
They
through?
did.
Yeah, it's still, we just talked about it with the chief a little bit today. We got 2 weeks left. We thought we'll have time to kind of.
But we changed we
Yeah, the
took
way.
it from 15 days
To
down to
72 hours, right?
yeah, 72 hours.
So
yeah.
we are going to talk about the issues that came up this year and try to make some clarifications. It's kind of one of those things. You want to let people stay in there that are doing the right things, but it's just like everything else. There's 30, like you said, 30% of the people are causing problems for the rest of the good people that want to do the right things. And I don't know how you get rid of that. That seems like that's everything in society today. But try to do what we can to
I think just
minimize.
making sure that you let them know and
They're
keep
not
it up
welcome
and
in.
keep it up. Pretty soon they're going to say, no, I'm not going to Tenino. They don't want us there, and they'll just kick us out. So.
Yeah, and even in the time that this year that we've been doing this, we've already seen improvements with, at first it was, the 15 days, and then we kind of saw how that was going, and now we've adjusted it, and now we have like the plate info along with the name, which helps us a lot too. So it's already gotten better as we've gone along. So that refinement, I think.
And for the most part, the ones that are doing it don't have driver's license. Their license, they're in stolen cars or they don't have licenses
Yeah,
on the
3 out of the
cars,
5
you know,
cars, I
different.
think it was spot 2. 3 out of the 5 cars were suspended, so,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
they're not supposed to be driving here anyways, so. Yeah, so I mean, that's just one of those things, again, it's a small percentage of them, and honestly, it went better than I thought it was going to. I thought we were gonna have a lot more people kind of taking advantage of it in ways that maybe weren't the best, but really, it's been pretty good, but just something to be aware of.
So yeah, that's still on our agenda to look at the kind of end of the season, and if we need to make more tweaks, we can do that. And the chief's kind of been filling us in what's going on. So
I have a question.
Sure.
About semis
About,
coming down residential streets.
oh, semis?
Yes.
Yeah, they're not supposed to, they're supposed to stay on,
main road.
The highway.
on the main highways and things.
I had 3 this week come down 5th Street and turn down McClellan.
What?
And I'm like, you guys have, today when he came by, I just thought, is he gonna take out the wires again? Because they pulled them out 3 times now.
Yeah,
The Comcast wire coming to my house.
and we do
And
enforce
you
that.
can't put it any higher. The Comcast Xfinity came out and says, it's as high as we can put it, we can't put it any higher.
And hence why they're not allowed to do that. No, and we do enforce that. It's just a matter of catching them
Spinning.
being in the right spot at the right time.
Oh, I see.
You know, just because usually any given time, there's usually only one of us on patrol after, let's say about 3:30 or so. So it's just, you know, right place, right time, and then if the officer's not on a call already. So we do enforce that, and I know that
I have
state
no
patrols.
idea why they're coming down. The one of them today said Oak
Harbor. Is
Oak Harbor,
maybe it's the one trucking it.
food, something or
They're probably
another.
coming from the gas station.
More than likely, that
Yeah.
because they come from that direction,
Oh, sure
from
they
the
are.
service
Oh, yeah.
station. So, and
But
then
instead of
he
turning
came
out, they're
down
coming- yeah.
5th Street and then made a right on McClellan.
The other thing it does, those roads aren't made for heavy
No,
trucks, so
no.
it damages our road also. Besides
Yeah,
that.
some of those roads are already kind of in rough shape anyway. So,
Does it help if you get
so just to
information off the, does it help you if we get information off the truck?
I mean, if you can, just because, you know, a lot of, if they are on those back roads, I mean, if we can get to it in time or we can get a plate, at least we can notify,
Yeah.
you know, whatever company they work
That's what I
for.
said.
Right.
We can call them and say,
That's
hey,
what
we
I-
see these trucks. Can you make
Yeah.
sure to communicate with your drivers? And,
Yeah, so even if we can't stop them because they've already kind of come and
Right,
gone,
right.
we can still notify, be like, hey, just so you know, can you put it out to your people that, you know, they're supposed to stick only on the main road. So, you know, that does help.
State
Anytime
highway.
we can get information, that is helpful
Okay.
to us.
I just happened to be working in the front yard today when he did it, so.
Oh yeah, no, by all means, if you can always call it in. Absolutely.
Tell them we got a camera, that's how we knew you were there.
There you go. Yeah. So, did
guess
that,
I
did that
could
answer
put up
your
a camera.
did that answer your question? Or,
Yeah.
okay.
that's-
All right. All right. Anybody?
Okay, is that
Thank
it?
you. Yeah.
Director of Public
All right.
Works, we do have a report from, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, we are. Ooh.
Thank you.
We're not quite the size we used to be. We don't have as much insulation now.
I don't have any insulation.
I was gonna say,
Well, I have plenty of installation, but I'm freezing, so I know, yeah, it's
your
cold.
hands are warm, mine are like.
Okay,
ice.
I'm trying to
I
wrap
know,
this
but I'm
up.
gonna have a
So,
stick.
Public
go.
Works
Right down my
report.
neck.
This weekend is a motorcycle swap meet, Friday through Sunday at the Old Park, as well as the Quarryman Car Show will be this Sunday, and their pancake feed at the Quarry House. So everybody remember that. Today was a pre-con meeting with Gibson Olson as well as Puget Paving for Park Avenue. Much
Getting close.
anticipated.
It's getting close.
It's like Christmas Day. The project is starting on the 23rd. It'll take 2 days for repairs, 2 days for overlay, 2 days for paving, 1 day for rock, and 1 day for striping. It'll be done on 8/29, but then the asphalt has to cure before they can paint it. But the whole project is set to be complete by September 20th. So all the paving and mess, sounds like it's going to be done before school starts. We're knocking on wood hardcore because
Yeah.
that is kind of a pain in the butt. So that's exciting.
We'll start.
after Labor Day
And on the
weekend.
18th, also at the Quarry House, Diane Dahlstedt's Celebration of Life. Remember Diane?
Mhm.
Great lady,
You
yes.
don't know Diane, you should, you don't.
You want to do your clerk treasurer while you're up there?
Sure.
Yeah.
As soon as everyone's back, everyone's coming back. All right. Did everyone have
Clerk
coffee
treasurer.
before this meeting or what?
Yeah.
Are we all just-
Everybody's talking
Everybody's like,
tonight.
let's just have a long meeting tonight. Okay, so clerk treasurer report. We had a finance committee meeting last week and went over a lot of things. We did the call to budget as well last week to department heads, so everybody's working on their wish lists for next budget. We had a meeting today with the auditor. We're expecting the final report by the end of September, which when she said that, I was like, I thought she would say the end of August, but she didn't. Apparently there's a lot of steps, right? Like they're done with their part, but then they got to give it to these people for them to review this part. So finish line up ahead. We've been having quite a few attorney interviews, as Dave mentioned. The TIB grant for Old 99 was submitted last week, as well as, oh, sorry, I lost my spot. The ArtsWA grant that we have for the library mural, the muralist is starting September 2nd. So city staff is putting up our own scaffolding. He's actually doing a huge project. He lives in Spokane, but he's doing a big project in Seattle the week prior. So he's booking his hotel now to be here. That it'll be done in that week, first week of September. So pray for sunshine. We're still awaiting the ball field decision. It was a tie between the two with the Arch Commission. So we posted it on Facebook in hopes of kind of letting the public be the tiebreaker. And I'm just waiting on Jessica to get back to look at that. I don't have Facebook. So, oh, the other part of the ArtsWA grant is the lighting of the path. That's all being installed next week. You know, we paved that big walking trail and it goes back to that art sculpture. The art sculpture is now lit up. So if everybody leaves here in the dark, go check it out. It looks awesome. And the artist called today and he is thrilled with it. So all good news. I think that's it. I did want to touch on the camping real quick. Since we did limit it to 3 days, they're scamming the system still. A lady will pay for her 3 days, and then when that 3 days is up, she'll have her friend pay for the 3 days, and then in that 3 days, she'll have her boyfriend pay. There's like 8 people at this campsite. So although we're saying you can only stay 3 days, we're looking at ways to, you know, resolve that. Maybe we just won't have online camping. We'll do reservation only, and they'll have to actually call Jessica, and that is more of a process for us to know, like, okay, wait, that's the same vehicle they said was there 3 days ago, you know? So we're working on ideas for next season.
I think the best idea is to eliminate having them go online to rent them.
Yeah.
It has to be in person.
It makes it a little more of a pain in the butt for a person that wants to book camping, but legit people don't mind. They just don't, so.
Always find a way around it.
Yeah,
I know.
No matter what you do.
No matter what you do, yes. Like these people have been there for almost 2 weeks now, and our police are like, they've got 6 cars over there and a U-Haul. So.
And then
you know.
Unfortunately, there's a person that's kind of traveling all over
Yes.
the United States that wanted to stay a couple days. But,
And they were like, man, I wish I could stay 3 more days. We've never been to Washington and we love it here. And here's our $400,000 trailer and we love camping. And we're like, sorry, 3 days, you're out, you know? So it's
So
like
that's,
other people
that's
are
the kind of
ruining it
thing
for.
that
I thought
people-
pretty much the big camp thing, I thought they were gone.
The big camper?
No.
Oh, the group?
Yeah.
They were supposed to be out today,
Yeah.
but they were supposed to be out yesterday. So,
Yeah, okay.
okay, that's
I'll
all.
just finish up with staff reports. I was gone all last week, so I didn't do much the last couple of weeks besides what Jen's talked about in the few days I've been back. So I'll get back into the swing of things. Facade improvement grant, nothing there.
I talked to Casey Rutledge, who is has bought that whole building, and informed her that the committee decided that yes, she can submit separate receipts for the middle building.
Good.
And she's tickled to death. So I said I
That's
wanted
great.
to meet with her because we had some ideas. So, yeah.
Thanks. Finance committee, I know you met while I was gone. Do you guys want to, anything to say on the finance committee?
I don't think so.
Do you have anything to
Now
say?
you want to go home.
Probably, yeah, they really, yeah. Planning Commission, there's nobody here to report on that. Public Safety Committee, did you guys meet?
We haven't met in a while.
No,
Okay.
but one of the things that we saw tonight, we had an officer up here that took the place of chief to give us a report.
Public Works Committee, Solid Waste Advisory,
We asked, we told the
Yes,
chief
we
that
did.
more.
Public Works Committee, what do you
Okay,
got?
Public Works Committee, go ahead.
You took the notes.
Oh, I didn't bring those notes.
All right, one item, we met with Troy and had a discussion over
Wait, maybe.
the hour about
I don't.
budgets and projects and whatnot. One point that comes to mind, and it's pertinent, ties into what Amy was talking about, our
Long range
CCRs,
goals.
whatever we're gonna call those. As we're going through budgets, Troy's gonna have to come up with a line item for mowing the swales and the other maintenance out there at the park,
Oh, yeah.
which is our part. So that's something we think of as we're going through doing these covenants, is to make sure Tenino is not on the hook for a lot of maintenance. We're not gonna make a lot of money out of there for a long time, and with the budget constraints we have right now, that's something that needs to be considered
Right.
as we go through that process, I think.
Yeah, I agree. That's the kind of the unintended consequences sometimes when we do a lot of these projects, and we don't always think about the, effects later on the next years of how we maintain and some of those things. So yes, it's something to keep in mind definitely when we're talking about that.
Yeah, he was concerned about it in his budget, of how
Yeah.
many hours they'll have to
It's gonna
put
take,
in
yeah.
out there.
Anything else?
You mentioned paving on the old 99.
Yeah,
Hopefully we get a chunk of it done, quarter mile at a
Yeah.
time over years.
that's what was proposed because its cost is for everybody else. The cost was so high to do the whole section that they suggested we break it in. I think it was either 3 or 4 sections. So hopefully we can just continue to improve as Solid Waste Advisory Board, we're almost done.
Pardon?
Solid Waste Advisory
Oh.
Board.
Department of Ecology is doing the management for the organic waste, which is the restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have a team of 6, and it changes as it goes along. They can do 8 yards now, but as it goes farther down the road, it'll be reduced that they'll only be able to do 4 yards because they're trying to get them to do a more economic
Mm-hmm.
aspects of it, the Department of Ecology. The other thing that styrofoam was totally banned now, but if anybody should be in a restaurant and given styrofoam, they ask that it be reported to the Department of Ecology so that they can go educate them, not fine them or anything.
Don't tell them we have any cups at City Hall.
You better hide those.
I didn't buy
It's
them.
only if you give them to the public.
So the rule was that you can have them, you can buy them before the law came into effect,
And you can use them
you can
after.
use them after.
Yeah, you
'Cause
can,
we had to
but
get rid
now
of a lot
they're-
of ours at my work.
But they're totally banned now.
No, but you can, yes, they're totally
The
banned.
restaurants
but you can get
cannot,
You can still use them, you just cannot purchase them anymore.
If you got,
no.
If you had them after, if you bought them before the
they
law
can't
came
be
into
banned.
effect.
Right, and that's what they said before, but now Department of Ecology was there on Wednesday, and they said that you cannot, restaurants cannot use them any longer. It
Do
is
I-
now totally banned as of June.
Okay, so there was a grace period to use up existing stock, and that grace period's
I'm trying to get
Yeah, if they haven't used up the
Okay.
existing stock.
We're gonna, anyway, yeah, let's move on that one. It's up to ecology to enforce it, whatever they say.
Yeah, well, that's what they said at the meeting.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, we had something like this happen years ago where they said, oh, you can't do this, I'm smoking at the bars.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to sue somebody down here if any of our people are still using them.
Don't you think
Don't try to
smoking in
get,
bars is
they
different
tried
than
to get
smoking?
us, the city, to sue them and put them in jail. They were the ones that caught them. They're the ones that are responsible. Because I was here and I made that argument, nobody bothered to bar anymore.
Well, you can't smoke in there anymore, so yay, everybody
Well,
wins.
Okay.
Well, it's new owners, but still.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Eagles.
No.
Okay.
TCOM, anything there? Tenino School Board?
The next meeting is at the end, towards the end of the month, right before school starts.
TRPC?
I have to go sign vouchers one more time, and I'm also a part of the UGA subcommittee.
Anything else with TPB?
Same.
Heard from the commissioner, legislative, I guess there's nothing going on there. Public comment too, we're almost done, we're on the public comment too, hearing
Are
none.
you sure you don't want to talk about anything?
Dan,
Anything
yeah.
off your chest?
We've been talking a lot tonight.
You just don't want to go home and have to take these.
And now,
I'd just like to commend the council on their amazing professionalism this last week.
announcements. Any other announcements besides what we've heard?
First responders potluck barbecue, second week in September, second Saturday in
Gavel
September.
this one.
There you go.